Alright, more of the deep roads. Nice of BioWare to give us this before we go. Can't have enough of this. I wonder if it has something to do with my fetish for subway tunnels and Fallout. Maybe kind of the same thing. Who knows? I guess we can expect a lot of these guys down here. No shortage of them, is there? Now, what the Alluvians are doing connected to the deep roads, and now we're finding elven statues here. It was strange enough finding Tevinter statuary and Tevinter demons or gods or whatever you want to call them, you know, like in Dragon Age 2, especially down there in the area before you deal with Gryphius. In the Legacy DLC, the Tig down there had an altar to Dumat. What does that have to do with dwarves, you know? I mean, why is that in the Tig? Why is that in a Tig that has no evidence whatsoever of paragons and stuff? As well as the Tig where we find the ancient rock wraith and stuff from the red lyrium, which I believe is just blighted lyrium, a blighted old god. You know, they're really kind of going the long way around, but I can't see this being anything else. I'd have to hear it with my own ears. The BioWare, the writers, somewhere in Dragon Age specifically say that no, that is not what a Titan is, and no, that has nothing to do with it, because it sure all adds up to me. Titans being old gods, and I'm even going so far, and I was wondering in my head, I even mentioned this on stream probably more than once, is the way that Flemeth or Mythal, and the way that Solus, the way their eyes glow, it looks just like lyrium, right? And then I remember taking an amulet to Sundermount, and when you talk to Flemeth after the amulet is Gaatlok, kind of silly of the Qunari to risk leaving that around. We're going to get our hands on that now, right? Now everyone's going to have Gaatlok. Tells me they're going to have missiles and firearms and grenades and all kinds of stuff in the next Dragon Age. They're already kind of leaning that way as it is with the, what is it, the Alchemist or whatever. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, we take a piece of Flemeth. Remember, we tell Flemeth, we ask her, we go, were you in that amulet?
Running through the walls.
Yeah, this isn't a whole lot different from the Tig in the Descent. I don't think the Descent was placed before Trespasser by coincidence either. Is assuming you do the DLCs, you're going to have to do Trespasser last because it essentially forces you to end your game, right? And so if you've done the DLC, you will have done Descent first, and that tells us a bit about Titans and stuff. Anyway. If we took a piece of Flemeth up to Sundermount so that Meryl could do her little ritual and stuff back there at the, I don't know what, that elven graveyard up there, and then of course she was brought back, whatever, was that a piece of a Titan, piece of the heart of a Titan, or something? Like she said, just a piece, just enough, right, for her residual life force energy, whatever, to reside in, so that she could take form there. And then, I mean, that was Flemeth, you know, and that was essentially Mythal. So was, okay, and this is going to have something to do with the blights too. Like, why do they do the whole blight thing in the first place? They go to corrupt an old god or whatever. If Mythal is taken from a Titan that was corrupted, right, to start a blight way back when, does Mythal go back to the first blight? And does the whole thing between the original elven magisters, who are referred to as gods nowadays, but back then, did that war result in a blight? In other words, were blights brought on us essentially by the elves in the first place? The original elves, the ancient elves, or whatever. You see, I mean, there's stuff, there's cause and effect. Like the people who have always been the victims, you find out, well, they're not so innocent after all. Way back in the day, they started this shit in the first place. Now, the ones you have now, nobody can really be guilty of what was done in the past anymore, simply for the fact that the people that are around now, they've lost as much of their history as everyone else has. So they can't be guilty for something they knew nothing about. History gets changed a lot to fit people's agendas and stuff, but as far as a lot of this stuff having been forgotten way back then, man, I don't know. Motive is is something I kind of wonder about. Like why? Why hide all that? Why cover it up? The Chancery's guilty of it. The elves, probably more than anybody, right? The dwarves, I don't know if they covered their own up, or if they just lost it. If they had it taken from them. Kind of similar to the dwarves maybe in Skyrim. Although now we still have dwarves around, whereas in Skyrim they're all but lost. Supposedly, anyway. We can assume they are. Anyway, just lots of thoughts rolling around, but that's the beauty of their writing here, is for every question they answer, they brings up 2 more questions. Like, well, if that's the case, then why, why is this like this, and why is that like that, Ah, it's awesome. But they really are digging into the deeper stuff, though, here, especially in the DLCs here, leading up to big revelations.
I went through one Qunari invasion. I was really hoping I'd never see another.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, Varric, you're an expert. You're an expert in these matters. So this brings up the question is where's the next one going to be? Where's the next Dragon Age? Are we going to the Qunari lands? I forget what their land is called, but are we going there? Who knows? We've pointed a lot towards Saharan, which I believe is an island real close to Qunari lands anyway. Saharan, Tevinter. We've been flirting with Tevinter for a while to dig a little deeper and get off into their culture and stuff. I think it seems to me what they really want to do.
Now we just need primers.
Yeah, we're gonna blow all this stuff up, I guess. What we really need to do, or what seems like they really want to do, is basically cover the cultures and give you a full picture of all of Thedas.
This cavern is barely holding together.
Looks kind of like what they might have in mind. It also, now this is just me hoping. That's what you're hearing here, is me hoping. But them going back and possibly maybe remastering Dragon Age 2. I would strongly recommend them to do that, not just because that's by far my favorite of the series, more from a combat perspective as opposed to anything else. Come on. Still got one hidden here, I think. Everyone else seems to think so too. No? Alright. But, if that was their way of kind of like covering the free marches, everything north of, what is it, the Waking Sea? There by the Wounded Coast instead of the Storm Coast. If that was a way of doing that, well, considering their limited development time and the fact that I think from a, just strictly from a visual perspective, I don't think we were necessarily given as much of that area as I think they would like to show us. We got much of Ferelden in Origins, at least what they were able to give us. I think we're supposed to get the free marches in Dragon Age 2. Obviously, covering much of Orlais in Inquisition, as well as returning to some familiar spots in Ferelden. And as technology gets better, they can make games bigger and bigger too, as far as that goes. So they, if they go to a new area, doesn't mean they can't include any part of old familiar areas in Dragon Age also. I wouldn't doubt if they send us to, I don't know, Qunari lands or even Tevinter or whatever in the next one, that they couldn't still do much of. They could revisit Kirkwall there. They wouldn't really necessarily have to remaster Dragon Age 2. I just want them to, selfishly. But they could simply go back and let me get these archers. I'll just call these guys archers. Close enough. Yeah, I want them to do that, but they could easily just revisit it in the next one. I'm guessing they're going to send us somewhere north. That's what I think. What little we know of Honk from talking to Varric is that some stuff went on at Weishaupt that only Honk could deal with, type of thing. That's the impression I get. And that's up there in that general north. I think anything north of that sea would be considered, I guess, northern Thedas. That would be considered up there, I think. Kind of wonder what part Orlais might play in the next Dragon Age. At war with the world, or just at war with Ferelden again? Do we have? I guess you wouldn't call that a civil war. Although between Orlesians and Fereldans, you're talking about just... I don't know. Just thinking out loud. Look at this tanky son of a bitch here. Man, I hate these guys. I really do. There we go. He died before his guard went down. Isn't that crazy?
If that Templar was telling the truth, the Primus should be in here.
I have chosen the Qun will protect me. Agent of Fenrir caused trouble in the crossroads. I wish I knew. I wish whoever fights in the name of the old wolf. These statues are older than anything I saw in my days with the clan. Okay, these are older elven statues than the elves are familiar with. I don't remember any legends about our people fighting the dwarves. I remember my keeper telling me a story, but I wonder if the dwarves have just perpetually, essentially been servants.
Well, that certainly looks like a good spot for an explosion.
Yeah, servants to magisters to farm lyrium for them. And the farming of lyrium, if you're taking essentially the blood of the gods, right? By doing so, then I don't know. What I don't really understand is, okay, this is where it's going to be hard. I don't know. I'm just curious how they could link these two. Okay, let's say Titans are old gods, and they're somehow linked to Mythal and Fenrir and all the old elven quote-unquote gods that were actually just really powerful magisters who had given themselves something resembling godhood or something. All right, now we may be talking about a time where the world as we know it was completely different too. But how does that link to in other words, how do they manifest themselves? Or how did they link themselves to a source of power like a heart of pure flowing living lyrium? How did they become bonded to that? Or is that some link that ties them to the Fade, or that which is behind the veil, or the spiritual realm, or whatever? Because we know lyrium is magical, but it exists in this world, but it's got a life of its own, right? If it's a living thing. Okay, so what I'm thinking is it's the heart and, I guess you could say, soul of an old god. Perhaps that is what ties the old gods to the Fade in this world, and vice versa. Like a link or something, so to speak. The manifestation of a spiritual heart in the physical world. Does that make sense? I know maybe I'm just like way getting out there, but there's got to be a link there somehow. Like, okay, if you got an amulet with Flemeth in it, right? And this is assuming my theory about the Titans is true. If Titans are old gods, and you've got an amulet with Mythal in it, then I'm assuming that was a piece of a Titan. Perhaps a Titan that's been long gone. Perhaps a Titan that was destroyed or corrupted, like I say, probably which resulted in the first or second blight or something. I'm guessing the first. And so all that's tying together. Maybe the war amongst the ancient elves, right, who are revered as gods now, but at the time were just powerful magisters. Not a whole lot different than Corypheus, really. They can try to say they're better than Corypheus or different than Corypheus. Not really. Actually, especially if they went to war, had infighting amongst each other, or did things which cost the lives of millions and billions as a result of their little pissy politics or whatever magisters get into, then nothing changes, right? History just repeats itself. If that's the case, then yeah, they might as well be Cryptus. Same type of shit. Everyone wants to remake the world in their image, thinking they know best. Cryptus just happened to be exceptionally rotten, right? But still, it's the same principle. I don't know. Just sitting here thinking about what is the link? If the Titan is, right? And Titan is made up of pure lyrium. It's the source of lyrium. It's the heart and veins. You know, the arteries of the flow of lyrium that the mages rely on, and even the Templars to battle magic. They're basically anti-magic. Templars are essentially mages. In fact, the Seekers in their training, essentially become tranquil, right? They're basically turned into a mage and then made not a mage. Or maybe they're only chosen because they have some magical something in the first. But I don't think that's true. I think magic manifests itself, and then people are known as being mages. So do they pick Seekers from among mages, or are these people that are given magical abilities and then turn right around and have them stripped of them again? Or it's something more along the lines of being possessed and then made tranquil as a result, so that that possession can no longer take hold or whatever. Regardless, they have essentially a magic ability to combat magic. Still kind of magic, sort of. Templars, too. Same thing. Okay, I guess that's a Cerebos that we're dealing with right there. Freak out. This makes a little more sense as to the Cerebos in the multiplayer. Inquisition multiplayer, you can play one, and their magic is chaotic and unpredictable. What are these on the ground here? He's just jumping around like... Cool. Give me that kind of magic ability in single player. I'll take that. Might even play a mage then if I can jump around like that. So anyway, sorry to ramble and just throw disjointed ideas out there, but like they're really throwing a lot at us here. They really are. I'm really, especially being in the Deep Roads, this really begs to question exactly what role the dwarves have played.
Are you quite all right, Inquisitor? It hasn't escaped me that the anchor is acting up. It's nothing to worry about, Vivian. Don't be stoic at the expense of your health. Dorian and I will have to put our heads together, but we should find some way to slow it down.
I guess these are the primers we're looking for. Now, remember Volta.
Let's go explode some Gaatlok.
Let's go blow some shit up. Remember Volta, the Shaper that cruises with us when we're in the Deep Roads. She says that the Titan is the stone, right? In fact, she didn't say that. She read that off the ancient lore. I believe the original lore, written in lyrium in the walls, right? By the very first dwarves, maybe? Or maybe by the elves? The dwarven language maybe came from the elves? Type of... I don't know. Anyway, whatever. If the dwarves are children of the stone, and the Titans are the stone, which is what it said, right? Then were the dwarves creations of the original elves? Did they have the magical ability to create life before the physical world and the Fade were separated by the veil? I mean, did they literally have that? I mean, does that essentially would give one, well, at least some legitimate claim to godhood, the ability to actually create. Or was it creation, or were they stunted? And I'm not just talking about their height. I'm not making a snide remark about their stature. I'm talking about stunted as far as their growth and stuff to be perpetually servants to magisters, which it appears the Tevinters took over that role. I wonder what this does at this time. Probably blow me the hell up. Uh-oh. Yeah, we might want to think about an escape route before we just bring the roof down on our head. Okay, now, if this is a Titan down here somewhere, then maybe burying it, collapsing this entire place, might not be a bad idea. Just make the Darkspawn work a little harder to start the next Blight. Okay, now let's just say the Titans are old gods, and that the someone like Flemeth Mythal is some remnant of that, some little piece of that, right? And that there's probably not but however many original ancient magisters claim godhood and had actually linked themselves, attached themselves, or rooted themselves in both worlds, both the Fade and this real world, whatever you want to call it, in the form of a Titan, right? Oh, wow. Damn, I can't even save without getting, oh, they're dropping in on us. Well, that's cool. Come to us. We don't have to go looking for you then. Or you could just kill me. How about that? So however many Titans there are, whatever that number might be, I think there's some elven lore as to exactly how many original gods there were. They even have names for them, right? Whether they were specifically gods or not, whatever. Apparently there was some infighting. This Fen-Harel, the Dread Wolf, denied this godhood, and seeing as the elves do tend to have this character about themselves to want to bend the knee really quickly, even if you said I'm not a god, I can't see the elves buying that. They would just call you god anyway, because they feel a need to bow down and serve somebody or something at all times. But apparently maybe that was ingrained in them literally with the original blood writing. It appears that blood writing originally was used to bind elves in servitude, and if Fenris is any clue, as maybe a Tevinter perverted form of that same magic with the lyrium veins, the lyrium markings that were burnt into his flesh, made him forget his past and put him under the control of, let's see what happens. Put him under control of the magister that he served as a slave. Well, there you go. And I think that is our clue as to the lore behind the whole blood writing thing and its original actual purpose way back then. So to keep their status as quote-unquote gods, well, then they would enslave their people with this magical mind control. Probably the very first blood magic. Literally mind control through the blood writing. Blood magic worked into their skin. Okay, well, it's not too much different than what the Tevinters did with Fenris, right? Magic worked into the skin. Probably with blood magic type rituals. As a result, who knows how many people had to die so that Tevinter Magister could do that and turn Fenris into a slave. And also give him some magical power to an extent. And it also made him something of a Reaver, because if you look in his skill trees, Fenris is a Reaver. At least he had some Reaver-type skills. Which is demonic by nature. Sort of. Spiritual by nature, anyway. Well, more questions than answers, but quite a few answers there if you look. And I'm piecing together stuff from across all the games, not just a few hints that they give us right here. I think thinking outside the box can really help one to get all the lore that they're trying to give us here. It's there if you look for it.
Let's get out of here and warn the others about this Dragon's Breath plan.
And put all the different pieces together.
Let's hurry.
Swim out? Okay, well, if this place is going to fill with water, then was this originally a sea at one point? See, okay, we were in a room, and I'd started to talk about this, but I was kind of looking ahead, so now I'll mention it again. We were in a room where we found one of the loot pieces. It was like, I don't know, the amulet or the belt that goes with this set here. Anyway, we had to fight this demon boss. I think it was the room with the 2 revenants. And it had an old, looked like a Ferelden throne there. And it talked about some creature of the deep. And does that link up with the Titan that was here? Some reference? Some twisted, slightly misled historical reference? You know, half legend, half truth? Even legends have usually have a kernel of truth, or else they wouldn't get passed along by so many generations, unless there was something there that at least had a reference to something at some point. Look at all legends and superstitions and stuff like that. That there be something there that got people thinking that way in the first place, and that it's for something to catch, to take hold, and take root, and be maintained by generations and generations of people. Even if it has no real historical fact, there's at least some symbolic reference or something there that was relevant to the people at the time when these superstitions and legends and whatever, when they're originally created. They don't just come out of thin air. Stuff like that. We have it here in real life, so I'm assuming they're playing off that same principle in their lore in Dragon Age. The amazing thing is they created a history and then slowly covered up and altered that history the way history tends to be altered. In the way they wrote the game, that's amazing to me. They gave it just enough realism to, you know, get you immersed in the game. You know what I mean? Like, if something is just so far out there that it has no common ground with the real world, then, you know, I mean, complete absolute fantasy, and that can be interesting in and of itself, true enough. But when something has just a little bit of the same type of stuff that you have to deal with in the real world, it makes it immersive to me. And they do a great job of that here. Just the way the story plays out. Just the way stuff really goes down. You can see a lot of parallels with the real world. Man, I can't see shit down here. I know I've got this built-in light bulb, but... all we really need to do is just follow the friggin' Qunari. Apparently they came down to investigate what all the explosions are about. Figures.
That barrel already looks primed. We should see where that leads.
Nice. Exit. Compliments of the Qunari. Our Templar brother is in need of re-education. He must be located. Oh, that must be the one that helped us. Qun talks about everybody being a part of it and all that. It sure seems like they have their slaves and servants. People out there doing the dirty work. So on and so forth. To be conveniently re-educated if they don't serve just the way... Yeah. You know, there's no system that's free of corruption. Not even the Qun. The Qun itself may be a pure discipline. Let's just say it is. I don't think so. And I don't think anything's without error. Not anything that men come up with. But let's say even if it was without corruption, the execution of it right? The practicing of it is not going to be free of corruption simply because you're talking about living people, living beings, being responsible for practicing it. And if we're not good at anything else, we will corrupt some stuff. Superb amulet of the second wind. Cool. I believe that's a really cool stamina amulet if you can get kills in really quick succession. Probably really good for an assassin, actually. Let's get a lot of stamina back per kill.
So, who gets to tell Cullen and Josephine we're probably at war with the Cure? Anyone?
I'll tell them if you want, but they'll probably think I'm lying.
They're going to kill me.
Alright, well, I guess we're going to cause this to collapse. This part of the deep roads on this side of the Alluvion. And interesting, it took us to the deep roads, not to the Fade or some spiritual
Dragon's
place.
breath. The Qunari always enjoy their metaphors. But what does it mean?
Who knows? Qunari agents moving through Alluvions to attack the south is bad enough already.
I still do not understand why they accused the Inquisition of serving Fenarel.
Corypheus set himself up as a god. Maybe someone who knows Elven history is doing the same.
But how does that implicate us? What made them decide that the Inquisition serves this Fenharel?
Hopefully we will learn more after we have stopped them.
Let's see the Exalted Council try to disband the Inquisition after we've saved them from this dragon's breath.
We must find out what Dragon's Breath is first. For now, our only lead is the Qunari leader, the Vidisala.
Gentlemen!
My apologies, Lady Josephine. There has been an incident with one of your soldiers.
How dare you? It was bad enough that the Inquisition chose not to inform the Exalted Council of the Qunari Corps.
Ole would have been happy to help with the matter.
But now your own guards are attacking servants? You have overstepped your bounds.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention, gentlemen. I'll see to this personally.
Thank you, Inquisitor. Ole stands ready to assist the Inquisition, as always.
Secrets and lies. Do you understand why we fear your Inquisition? You act as if you're the solution to every problem. How long before you drag us into another war?
How about how long before I stop another war for you? Come on, you thankless bastards. That's what have you done for me lately shit. Like, yeah, you saved my life yesterday, but what have you done for me in the last 5 minutes? Oh, nothing? Well, let me spit in your face then. That's getting old. Thankless, selfish, stupid, blind idiot.
What's going
Dumb,
on here?
stumbling.
The Orlesians tried to take one of our people, Inquisitor. We've secured the area.
This is the Winter Palace. You cannot simply seize control when one of your guards attacks a servant.
The Inquisition is handling this. When some noble commits a crime of fashion, you can take over.
I only asked what he was doing.
And when I refused to bow to the Inquisition's dogs, you attacked me! How would you like us to handle the situation, Inquisitor?
Looks like Gaatlok to me.
That barrel there, where did it come from?
I was ordered to bring wine for the guests.
You're lying.
Your Inquisition soldiers are completely out of control.
No, we're in control. Keep talking and you'll find yourself in chains.
Please take the servant into custody.
Right away, Your Worship.
Inquisitor?
Ambassador Montillier will explain later. For now, please hold the servant for questioning.
As you say, Inquisitor, Lord Cyril will hear about this.
He may or may not get over it. Oh well.
Inquisitor, I also found this by the barrel. I can't read the language.
I'm sure it's Qunari.
Did you resolve the problem with the guard?
The guard is the least of our problems. Someone smuggled Gaatlok barrels into the Winter Palace.
Smile, Inquisitor. There are many eyes upon us. At least now we know the true extent of the Dragon's Breath.
How are you still smiling?
Years of training as a bard, Inquisitor. We cannot show weakness now. Enemies could be watching, or we can let them seize idle conversation between two friends.
It's all I've ever seen with you too, huh, Liliana?
Breath is these Gaatlok barrels.
Of course, a surprise attack, even through the Illuvians, would have met fierce resistance. But if everyone at the Exalted Council died in an explosion, the South would be rudderless, vulnerable to attack. This is what Corypheus should have done after the explosion at the Temple of Sacred Ashes. An attack as swift and unstoppable as the breath of a dragon.
The guard who confronted the servants said she found this note near one of the barrels. It looks like Qunari writing.
Let me see. I picked some up from the Iron Bull, though I'm told my accent is atrocious. These are orders for positioning the Gaatlok in the palace. When duty has been performed, report to the Vidisala through the mirror marked by a bookcase.
I've been hoping to meet the esteemed Vidisala. How nice of her to invite us over.
Good. While you do that, I will have agents locate the Gaatlok barrels and remove them safely. I will also send word to my foreign contacts. We must see where else this dragon could strike.
Okay, well. Yeah, Liliana kind of showing her hand a little bit there. No one's ever actually seen her. Go ahead and synchronize all the schematics I may have found. Golden Nug. Means any character I start now basically have access to all these different things. Kind of makes the whole Black Emporium irrelevant, really. Well, I guess Black Emporium is really just a way to bypass going and finding anything for yourself. Wow, bow that just straight up ignores armor. So you find them here, but this is endgame stuff. Like, you could take that and go back and completely respec your character, rebuild. Like, if you had spec'd a bunch of stuff into armor penetration and stuff, well, you could just, you know, go put those points into other things. A new armor for Cassandra, huh? Well, it doesn't serve the same purpose as what I got. Although it's not bad. On hit, gain guard. Lots of defense and stuff. That's cool. But I had her set up a specific way. Mainly the focus gain is what it's all about, even if she has a slightly smaller armor rating. Lots of nice rings and amulets now. I think everybody's pretty much set up, though. We were pretty thorough in this playthrough. We did a lot of stuff. Most everybody's companion stuff, except for Blackwall, which I could never get his thing to trigger where he disappears. He never did. Maybe I didn't talk with him enough, but he really is the odd man out. He's a complete flake anyway. I don't feel bad about that at all. I'm not missing him as a companion here whatsoever. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see where this leads in the next one. If you want to subscribe, click that button up top. If you want to catch the rest of the Inquisition playthrough, you can click that image in the middle. So it'll send you straight to the playlist. Alright, y'all take care. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.